Good evening. J&P Outdoors here. So today we're going to be going over basically how to learn small baits. Like small swim baits, even a little bit bigger paddle tails, same damn thing. Even up to a 6-inch paddle tail, and how small baits will teach you how to use their bigger Mac Daddy counterparts. Like, let's take a 6-inch paddle tail and throw on maybe a 8-inch paddle tail. Or, let's take a, itty bitty crankbait, something like that. That's good for perch. Then you move up to a little bit bigger crankbait, maybe for a little bit bigger bass. Or then you move up to an even bigger crankbait. But before you get to all them big baits, let's be honest, shall we? Just like two old friends talking over a beer. We all have those pricey 8, 10, 12-inch freaking monstrosity baits that, swim baits or even giant jerk baits or, whatever big bait, even the real giant freaking huge crankbaits, whatever, they're usually in a tackle box, usually off in a corner, especially the guys that are just bank anglers. We have all these baits, but let's be honest, what do? We grab our backpack, we grab our 2 or 3 rods that has, our trusty box in it, that with baits we've been slinging around creeks, rivers, and ponds, and even some lakes for years. But yet, meanwhile, back in the man cave slash garage, we've got, $100, $300, $1,000 worth of baits that we don't use. And I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're a newbie, you're gonna fall into the same trap that everybody falls into. You're gonna be walking through Walmart or Academy or Bass Pro Shop or even, God forbid, Dick's, and you're gonna see this beautiful colored, swim bait that looks like a big old fat shad, and you're gonna be like, oh, what's 30? No, it's $17.99, and you're gonna pick it up, and you're gonna take it out to the lake, and you're gonna think, that you're gonna become the next John B. or the next Kevin Van Dam or the next Lake Fort guy. But I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a trick to throwing those. Just like there's a trick to throwing all baits. All big baits, there's a trick. And even the little baits, there's a trick. But the little baits, like this, something like this little 3-inch paddle tail swim bait, it'll be a lot less forgiving than trying to go out there and throw those big giant mumbo jumbo swim baits. So, okay. Let's say you have a counterintuitive shift. You have a shift process, your mind shifts, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, this isn't working. What do I need to do? Hey, I'll go watch a video of JMP Outdoors. He talked about this same exact thing, where you go on, and in future videos, I'm going to teach y'all how to throw these different baits. Right now, I just gotta wait for it to dry up a little bit because I don't have a kayak or a boat. I'm a bank angler, and so right now the rivers are a little full and the banks are muddy. But that's okay, because give it some time. The rivers will come down, the banks will dry up, and the fishing will be chef's kiss. So, what do you do with the tiny bait teach? First, you gotta learn sensitivity. You gotta learn sensitivity, and you gotta learn bite detection. Especially once you start going after bluegills, crappies, even white bass or sand bass. Because unlike, your bigger baits, right, where you're flipping in you've got 50-pound braid on, and you're flipping into some real thick vegetation, and all of a sudden old Fat Lips comes out and just inhales your bait. Well, you're going to know it, because first of all, it's going to feel like a damn Mack truck hit your line. So you're going to initially set that hook. Well, first of all, hook set. All right. Stop. Stop putting so much into your hook set, because I watch all these guys on YouTube, and I'm going to be quite honest with you. When they're reeling down, and then they're, like they're pulling, the sword out of the stone, guess what? It makes them look, to me, it makes them look like idiots. You don't need all that. Reel down. Hold on. Reel down and just set the hook. You don't need to be reeling down and then running back like you're going for an NFL catch. No, you just reel down and set the hook. They're trying to make it look all dramatic, I know, for YouTube and all that, but it really doesn't need to be. Let the fight and the fish be the dramatic part. You just look like a plain moron out there, trying to set the hook on a 1.5-pound bass when it looks like you're trying to set the hook on make people think you're marlin fishing in a damn lake. But anyways, that's, sorry, off my soapbox about that. That's just one of those things that just, it gets my peeve. So, yeah, sensitivity, heightened sensitivity is priceless when detecting soft bite bass. Like, not all bass are gonna come up and inhale it. They might come up and just go like this. Well, you gotta have the line, and you gotta have the know-how to know when a bass might be swimming off with your line, or, that line sensitivity. So that's where having like more of a finesse line, more like go with a braid fluorocarbon. That's when line comes into play, but I'll get in line on another video. But anyways, yes, your sensitivity is key. Reading fish behavior and adapting it. Okay, that's another key thing. Look, if you're out strolling, let's say you're on the downtown Riverwalk in San Antonio, and you're I don't know, strolling the river walk with your wife. Every once in a while, look over. See what the fish are doing. You know? Pay attention. You know? How are they swimming? Are they swimming in packs? Are they bunching up under bridges? Are they bunching up around cover? Are they bunching up around pilings? So that's, height and sensitivity is definitely important to detecting soft bites on big worms. Also, learn a firm, steady pull hook set. In other words, you reel down and you pull back like that. It's firm, it's steady, and instead of reeling down and yanking, just reel down and pull back, pull back firmly. Because if you have a sharp hook, that sharp hook's going to penetrate the fish's mouth. So a lot of times when you see these guys reeling down and yanking, well, chances are they might be losing fish because they're yanking their damn lips right off their damn head. So reading the fish behavior and adapting. Okay, this is key. Trying to find out, trying to figure out what these fish are eating. How are they acting? Are they acting? Are they bunching up? Is it mid February, March, April? All of a sudden you're seeing bass. Two bass school up together. Start paying attention to what the fish are doing, because they might be getting ready to go in the spawn, and they might also tell you that they're wanting to feed. Also, pay attention to the bait fish in the area, and match your bait to the fish. In other words, if you have a lot of bluegill, try and go with something like this color, like what is this? Oh, like a green pumpkin with a little bit of shimmer in it. This, the whiteness. They might look up and think it's a shad. So that's why it's important to match the bait to the fish. Now let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, well, no, I already went over that. No. Okay. So what do y'all think? Ever had light tackle lesson check with big gear? Share your stories or your favorite tiny lures down in the comment section below. Let me know. I'm not a pro. I'm game to learn stuff. Okay. So, what have we learned here? Next time your bait fails, don't buy another one. Rig up an ultralight, tie on a tiny lure, and add dedicated time to fishing small. Because it's like practice, folks. If you put in the time to learn the different baits, then by the time, you want to start throwing the bigger baits, you've mastered the smaller baits, and the smaller baits are similar to the bigger baits. They may not be exactly the same because they're bigger, but it's going to be close enough. And so you're going to know how to pop it, how to twitch it, how to flip it, because you've been practicing in the creeks and the rivers. Because let's be honest, us bank fishermen, we got to be real selective about where we're pitching and flipping, because there's not a lot of open spots to pitch and flip. So that pretty much sums it up. Basically, will small lures turn you into a big lure fisherman? Yes, they will. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you have figured it out, and you can go back and flipping all that good jazz. So yes, smaller baits will make you a better big bait fisherman. Because remember, like the great what damn fisherman was it? I believe it was Roland Martin once said that fishing is 80% knowledge, mind, 30% skill, and 10% luck. So you gotta have the brains. In other words, you gotta know what the weather's doing, has the water risen or has it fallen? You gotta know all this stuff to know that whether these fish are gonna bite and how to change your gear, because you could be fishing a big giant swim bait, and the any pros or anybody that knows worth a damn can watch me or can comment down below. But you can be fishing bigger baits and you're just not having any damn luck. And all of a sudden you downsize bait and you change color, and next thing you know, you've cut your damn PB. So this video is getting a little long in the tooth. If y'all have any questions, hit me up down in the comments. So this is J&P Outdoors. I want to thank y'all for watching. And remember, make somebody smile, because you never know, you might just change their world.